To do. Let's hear it for James Haydeman of SmoothWindows.com.
I'd say well done, but...
Thank you guys for listening to my spiel today. You guys were such good sports with whatever blooms, the flower thing, that I figured we'd do it again. So you probably see a pattern with the businesses that I start or deal with, is that I try to make everything easier. Because I feel like even with all the technology and the data and stuff like that, we just find new and different ways to make things more complex. For example, I called the cleaning company today, and they said, we're fully automated on their voicemail message, so just go online and schedule. Well, like I'm on the phone now with you, and I'm driving. But it's not easier for me to just stop the car, pull over, find your website, find whatever form, fill out your form, instead of just talking to a human. So I'm trying to make things easier. SmoothWindows.com is one of those ways. Jim is my partner with this. Jim has Renovation Advocate, so he's got essentially helping you do remodeling. And I was talking with Jim, and I said, Jim, what's the deal with Windows? Because I don't know if you guys, how many of you guys own your own house? We go, okay, so most of you guys. Okay, how many of you guys have windows that someday will need to be replaced? Right, it's just gonna happen, right? So the windows in our house need to be replaced. They got mold in some of them, they're just old, right? Leaky, drafty, all that jazz. But I bought windows for a different house before, and it was a huge pain in the butt. Because you get the salesperson that comes in there, and they want to show you their little flip chart, and they want to tell you about all the bells and whistles about Windows. And if you happen to have a question about Windows, most likely they don't know the answer. Because they're a salesperson, they're not a window expert. That's their job, right? So, SmoothWindows.com is what kind of became of that. So that is the most fixly video I've ever seen. Let's see if we can play this. I'm not a mad guy. Maybe let's go.
You need Windows, but you don't want to deal with slimy salespeople. You just want quality, affordable, and efficient Windows as easily as possible. Welcome to SmoothWindows.com. In 3 steps, you can order exactly the Windows you want and know your home will soon be more comfortable and efficient. Simply enter your zip code to get started now.
Sure, it's only a 26-second video, so it's not. We'll make you sit through 3 hours.
Again.
I am not a minute yet. Oh, so I was trying to show the PowerPoint. Yeah.
You need Windows, but you don't want to deal with slimy salespeople. You just want quality, affordable, and efficient Windows as easily as possible. Welcome to SmoothWindows.com. In 3 steps, you can order exactly the Windows you want and know your home will soon be more comfortable and efficient. Simply enter your zip code to get started now.
So the idea is that you just go online and you can just enter your zip code. The zip code is important for a few reasons. One is down south around Florida and Texas, they have hurricanes, which in Wisconsin we don't have to care about. But in the Midwest, we have winter, which in Florida and Texas we don't have to care about. So there's different types of windows for different regions and stuff like that. So now we can flip here. Okay, so this is the problem essentially. We're getting rid of the slimy salespeople. Has anyone ever gone through purchasing windows or siding or doors or anything like that? A couple of you have?
So sorry.
They try to wear you down. They try to, like we want 2 decision makers there, right? And they want to show you their little flip point. There's a guy that I asked, he was a roofing guy, right? And I said, oh, you're not going to come to us with a binder. And he says, no, I have an iPad. That's totally different. That's totally different. So we talked to another window company, a franchise window company, and the guy there was way old school sales, and he says, we just wear the consumer down. After you're there for 3 hours, they just want to buy just to get you out of the house. That ain't right. It's just not right. So the solution is what we have at the website, smoothwindows.com, which is still in the process of getting fully done. It offers information so that the consumer can be educated about what to look for in the windows, and if they feel like it, which we hope they do, they can actually order the windows directly from it. So no salesperson at all, which is kind of cool. Competition that we have, there are a few other websites. There's like Zen Windows, and I can't think of the other one, construction guy. that are trying to sell windows online. But Zen Windows, for example, you type in the number of windows, and then a salesperson contacts you, and you have to go through the whole sales process. The other window place, they will sell you windows wholesale, but it's up to you to install it. So from a warranty point of view, there's a little bit of a challenge there. These are the challenges that we know of. One, you guys brought this up to mind when we talked to you a few months ago, something like that. Building trust with customers. You're buying a pretty big ticket item on the internet. So although people buy a lot of stuff on the internet, a lot of stuff that they buy is 99 cents. Or they assume it should be free or something like that, right? So we're offering something that's closer to $10,000 to $15,000, which is bigger now. But Tesla's doing it, so, right? Building trust with installers. So we have nationwide installers that we have to work with, and some of those installers are good, and some are not so good, and we don't know how to vet them currently. So we have to figure that out. When I say good, I mean, generally speaking, it's fairly easy to install a window until you run into a problem. The problem would be like wood rot, or something, maybe height, like there's a tree in the way or something like that. Just some, let's call it the 10 to 20% of the windows that you're going to have to deal with, right? 80% will be easy. So that's making sure the installers do a quality job, where you recommended pictures and stuff like that. So because we're not in a location, somebody orders windows in Omaha, we're not going to drive down to Omaha and make sure they did a good job. We have to have the installer show us that they did a good job, so that we can show the customer that they did a good job. And then we have to get found. It's a busy internet, right? So I think that's all I have for now. Do you guys have any questions? Challenges?
So when you're describing the sort of big picture, the thing that's sprang to my mind was blinds.com. Now, granted, blinds are way different than windows in cost and complexity, but they've been around forever. So you talked about competition. Like, nobody is.
Okay, so this is
that sounds like lead gen and like nothing more. If it's typing the number of windows and the salesperson.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's it. Like nobody's further than that right now.
That's it. No. So I can kind of tell you why. From our perspective, the installation is one. Yeah. Two, you have to get someone in there. So I guess the way our process works, let me back up a step. Somebody orders windows online. We have a $500 down payment. So they don't have to pay the whole nut up front. So it's $500 down, and it's a flat rate. So each window is X dollars. We're still working on what that X is. So as long as it's under 4 foot by 4 foot, it's just one price. You can have add-ons. So if you want little grills and stuff like that, low E, argon,
grills,
all that stuff.
Wood grain on the inside, different colors on the outside.
Okay, so there are some options, and then that changes the price a little bit. But for the most part, it's all flat rate per window. So size doesn't matter. So $500 down, that's what you pay online. Then we schedule a time with you for a person, an installer, to actually come out and measure the windows. So they measure your windows, they count your windows. If there's any changes, you can make them right there. And at that point, half is due minus the 500. Then they schedule a time to install them. When the installation is done, then you owe that remaining half. So the idea is that you don't have to come up with that big nut right away to kind of build trust. And we have the installer, the one that's actually installing the windows, is the one that measures the windows. Because we saw some challenges when somebody else measures the window and somebody else installs.
So then the business deal is between the end consumer and Smooth Windows and the installers the sub.
Correct.
So you're not just teeing up an introduction and relying on different features.
Correct. Yeah. So that huge challenge.
Yeah.
Huge challenge. So I can totally understand why not a lot of people have done this.
Right.
Or nobody has really done it. So if that makes sense. So like Zen Windows, for example, they're probably the closest. They have a pretty good website, but it's just bringing in a lead, and then they have franchisees that are installing them. So that's the gist. From the window itself, we have manufacturer no clear that we work with, but they can only serve Midwest. And they're, generally speaking, most windows, once you get above a certain threshold, are all, from a quality standpoint, they're good enough, if not great. Like there's not, it's not a rocket ship or anything. It's pretty much just a piece of glass and some fiberglass. But
So James, what's the other competitive advantage besides the kind of getting rid of the slimy guy?
Well, there's
slimy person.
price is going to be part of that.
Okay, so there'll be a price point reduction.
Yeah, because how does that work? The statistic on the cost of acquisition for a lead?
Yeah, it's probably, so you have your lead cost and your sales cost. So your lead cost, and typically in the window company, is about $300 to $400 per lead. And their closing rates are usually around a third, 25 to 33%. They're, you know, it's about $1,000 a sale is their cost per sale. That's why they won't come out for one window. They just kill them. So instead, of course that goes into the price of the, you know, plus they have a 10,000 square foot showroom, but you know, salespeople and managers. So in Madison, let's first say the average big window company, you're in the whole cost, which means installed, is about $1,000, give or take. And you can go to $2,000 if you went Krypton and washed your car and everything else. And ours are going to come in more like around the $700 range. And we still do pretty well on that.
So, and is your role, are you the installer then? So you be the person?
I'm not put in, but no, I'm not the installer.
You're not the installer.
We got, so that's
Someone to find them.
yeah.
Okay.
Right, so I have to find them, right? So someone calls in the middle of nowhere, and we can get windows to them, but, so I have literally 2 or 3 days to find a good installer and vet them, make sure they're not a felon and all that good stuff.
So do you contract out all this work then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you
So-
hire local artisans to...
Right, we try to get local people. So like I said, someone in Duluth wants to buy windows, I have to find someone who's willing to service Duluth and go put in the windows.
But they're your windows, or do you...
There are windows.
Purchase them?
Right, we purchase them from, and so we'll have probably 6 window companies by the time we're done. So that way we get the whole United States covered.
Yeah, right now we have a manufacturer out of Eau Claire.
And it's a great window, it's the best window out there.
Is the cost of installation rolled into the flat rate?
Correct.
Right.
So what do you do on it? I mean, I know you said 10 to 20% of windows that go in are problematic, but sometimes that could be a whole house. You go into a house and they're all problematic.
Right, so at the time
Do you just take a giant loss on that house?
no. there's a little bit of cushion, I guess, in the window itself to cover that 20%. But we also leave it up to the installer. Like the installer, the main thing that they're going to find is rot. So they pull out the window and they're going to see some rot from that window leaking for 30 years or something like that. So that's between the installer and the homeowner to figure out a change order, essentially.
So you would expect the homeowner to pay for repairs beyond the installation?
Correct. One of the challenges that I mentioned was as far as finding quality installers. Some installers are getting paid around $60 a window, and usually takes 2 people to install a window a couple hours. So they're making $30 an hour, give or take, but they still have a van, truck, like that's $10.99 employee. So when they see rot, they're just not doing anything about it. They put the window in, the siding covers it, the trim covers it, walk away. So they're not getting paid extra. So, and from the homeowner's point of view, they don't know any better until the window falls off or something like that, right? Or they have snow in their living room, something like that. So we have to find installers that will actually solve that, or at least present an option to the homeowner to solve that. So, go ahead.
What's your current approach to vetting installers and how do you plan to scale it?
Well, we've been talking to franchise installers, and the short answer is we haven't solved that. Because we run into guys that want to do a 3-hour sales presentation.
Yeah, really good carpenter in Lane County wants $400 a window.
It's a tough market, construction-wise.
Yeah.
If this was 2008, this would be easy.
Yeah.
Give it a little bit.
Yeah, right? That's fair. We've seen some fluctuations in the market recently, so, yeah.
So this whole company was formed on the premise that to fill the need. The need is the slimy window. It's huge right now. Now they're going after the baby boomers because these guys will do everything on handshake stuff. So these elderly are getting picked on big time by the slimy salespeople, and there's a million of them out there, and it should be regulated, but that's not going to happen. So that's we decided we got to solve it, and this is the best way to solve it. I even called Mark both hands off. I said, this needs to be regulated. He said, this is horrible. These guys that's something elderly. This guy just, we sold his house a couple years ago. He died, 94 years old, beat up hunk of junk house and I want to say their name, but they're all over the TV. And they came in and sold this poor old man in a wheelchair, sold windows for $1,200 a window. And a house that has to be blown over anyway. Yeah, right, exactly. But Mark the Camel here, so we'll call
So it's interesting the stuff we're learning about windows, because as far as the energy savings of like double pane versus triple pane, it would take you decades to make that up, the price difference up in your energy.
You never would.
Could you just add a surcharge or something? I mean, if the wood is rotted or something like that, so people know up front that it's an additional expense, and then that way too, if you've got the clarity, there isn't the slimy sales person.
That's totally true.
It's going to make sense if your house is falling apart. How is a window going to be held structurally? So that way everyone's on the same page. And honestly, do you want a client that is penny pinching to that degree?
No.
Because they're the ones that are going to come back and sue for you stepped on their lawn incorrectly.
Right.
And it's like any window contract, it'll have a thing at the bottom all about, this is just an estimate, we find wood, here's a rough estimate of what would be per window of what's right.
Yeah, the price for the windows and installation, anything around the windows that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
How do you handle people that want to see samples of color prior to the sale?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? That's the difference between internet and slimy salesmen.
Yeah.
Slimy salesmen come in and they have a sample window.
Yeah.
They also, and they're taught in training to get you to open them, get your hands on there, because that develops trust, right?
We'll tell them to go to the state fair, look at a window.
Yeah. So you're right, that is a challenge that we have, that they have to buy a big ticket item without test driving it.
Don't most window manufacturers, though, send samples? I mean, so like your guy in Eau Claire, could be, you were going to deal with them and just say, well, send out
probably
copies
yeah.
And all that kind of, I mean, you got to do that now if they sell, windows, right?
From my point of view, and maybe this is just James the salesperson, I'm like, you're going to get this fiberglass, what are you going to do with it?
Are you slimy enough to
I like to think I'm not, or maybe I'm just, I just want to move fast, right? And I'm like, what are you going to do with that fiberglass? Are you going to hold it up to your curtains? Like, we only, for the most part, 80% of the windows are white vinyl. So like, you're going to get this white vinyl and you're like, yeah, I got the white vinyl, what do I do with it now? Like, what are you looking for? You're probably looking for trust, really, that I will send you that piece rather than any, like, oh, this is the vinyl. Yeah, I can tell this is the best vinyl in the world. Because you have no idea what you're looking at.
Right.
I wouldn't know it, right? They could send me a piece of plastic and go, okay, it looks good.
Maybe the liberated color might be something they want to see.
True. Yeah.
No, they get printed off, we'll have the colors on there, but right. Would you buy that?
No.
I see a sample.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because we were talking about doing this with flooring. Can't figure that out.
No.
Because like colors and patterns and texture. Yeah, that's a tough one. But I understand what you're asking. And then it comes down to building trust. And there's some people that are going to be like, no, I want to see something tangible. Satisfying. Or feel something tangible, I guess. And others are just me, where it's just like, it's a window.
Or could you partner with other construction or not, like flooring company or something that you have just a little booth where you have samples and you can go look at the samples there.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one to solve. Just like with anything you sell online, right? Sometimes just banking people, it's trust.
Yeah, what gave me the idea was about 2 years ago, my nephew got married, and they bought a house, and we did the whole house. And I'm saying, okay, we have to go here and shop for this. By the time I'm done telling them, they're already buying stuff on their phone. Deal's done. Oh, wow, okay, this is what we need to do with windows. I mean, they just did not want to mess with anything. They just want to buy and get the deal done, and they don't want salesmen in their house. And you can come up with a name recognition and good enough guarantee, and there'll be people who won't. They want to go to the store and they're going to take 6 months to pick out a window. That's just not our market.
It seems like part of the challenge around some of the window companies is not just the slimy salesman, it's the fact that they're running advertisements to saying that they're half price.
Sure.
And that you're going to get a special price back.
Oh yeah.
So how do you, generally, you're not going to be half the price?
Our idea is that one, we're not for everyone, which means two, who we're aiming for is the savvy consumer. The consumer that says, oh, if this window's half price, either you're going out of business or it was twice the price it should have been in the first place. Maybe triple the price, right? Like I feel, from my point of view, I feel like consumers are kind of getting better at seeing through that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I guess I'm banking on people not falling for that. That's what it comes down to. There certainly will be some, because they keep spending money on advertising to do it, right? I don't know if you guys have ever priced out advertising. It's not cheap to spend those ads. And if they're offering half off their windows and spending thousands of dollars on advertising, what are they giving up? What are they sacrificing? Either they're like, I don't want to make as much money, which maybe, probably not, or they're sacrificing windows or installers.
How do you get your internet?
I'm sorry?
How are you getting your internet?
Oh,
just started.
This is it. Yeah. we still have to finish the website. We still have to installers and stuff like that. We have everything except for website complete and installers. Everything as far as Midwest goes. So, and then we'll worry about marketing. So I don't have a good answer there. I'm sorry. Yeah. If you have recommendations, I am totally open.
Who does your current manufacturer sell to?
Lumber yards.
Yeah, construction.
So they don't know installers either.
I called him and asked him. He said that was James' idea too, to call him and say who did, but he sell to the lumber yards. And my question to him was, okay, a lot of installers won't want to put in our windows because they're missing the markup on the window. So I'm asking, well, I'll throw it in, and we'll still do fine. So if they want $200 a window and they're going to mark up a $200 window, $20. You know, so I'll throw, you know, $250 a window or something. And we still, our numbers still work out good. I do have one question for you guys, and that's, if you're looking on the internet, so we're doing a lot of talking about bashing the slanging salesman. How much in detail should we go into that? Say, don't believe half off. That's impossible. Here's what they do. Don't believe half off installation. Here's what they do. Is that necessary, or do we look like we're just being the bad guy?
Or little videos, like showing bad quality windows or bad installers, like they've got those hidden cameras. They go and watch a plumber that does a crappy job and charges you a ton. So maybe little videos, not long ones that people have to watch. And stuff. But then you don't want to.
Right, it sounds like you're spending all your time just bashing everybody and being negative, right?
You have to be cautious. There's a little weird brain science thing when you tell people something is a myth, that their brain has a reverse reaction. They actually are more likely to believe the myth.
Oh, interesting.
When you start saying, like, this guy is telling you something and it's not true, like, you can't control the fact that there's a weird mechanism that they might be more likely to believe is true.
Sure. That's fair.
Just look at our president.
Yeah. I've tried to do math with people to show them, like, a lot of the crazy sales is somewhat of a bait and switch. They come into your house and they'll just do add-ons and upsells, right? Just because they want to get their salesperson in the door. So when you tell people the math and say, like, for $150, could you really get a window installed for $150?
But, you know, to your point earlier that not everybody is a fit for this. I think when you think about, like, how much do you focus on the slimy salesperson, maybe it's just me. I would love to buy whatever I could online, but because I already know that I don't want to buy it the other way, so, like, I don't need you to tell me the reasons. Like, I think the people who want to see the sample or want the support of the salesperson aren't your customer. And the people who are your customer don't need you to explain why they don't want the binder sitting at their kitchen table.
So just a couple jabs about you don't want the 3 hours. I mean, that's probably good enough.
I would even say no jabs. Just don't give me reasons to doubt you. You know, make it seem like you're straightforward, and because that's what I'm looking for, right? I want the lack of the slimy means no bullshit in the process. Right? What are the things I want to know? Why do I believe you? How do I do it? Like, that's what I would want to know, and other stuff would detract, at least for me.
What if you just focus on the ease of it? You know, right? Because if you think about it, your demographic is going to be probably younger. They're on apps. They want to get it done quick. They want it easy. Also with that, type of demographic, usually what's really important to them too is that you're eco-conscious. So if you can pull something to that degree into it, and they also really believe in giving back in that sense. And so I would just say take the high road and you worry about the slime below.
That's fair.
And focus on what you really plan to do and turnaround times. Maybe the ease of ordering, and also as you complete jobs and they look great, get a 30-second video of someone, some woman that's ecstatic, like she's been wanting new windows for 20 years, and finally pulled the trigger. It was simple, look how great it looks, and her world has turned in the best ways.
Testimonies are
And that'd be huge. And people use those off the internet in making their choices.
I guess it's on
I wholeheartedly agree with everything that was said. I'd say there's companies that sell you cars or lease cars online through apps. And I imagine the people who want that ease and convenience on big ticket items is a pretty similar demographic. So if you see how some of those companies and apps are approaching it, you might see something interesting.
Yeah, it's worthwhile.
That's what I was just picturing in my head. What other kind of noteworthy purchases would make me of 10 years ago say, holy crap, I'm never doing that online. But it's clearly, I think Carvana is a great example of that. I can go on my browser and pick a car and it gets delivered to my house. I don't test drive, I don't see if the seats are comfortable, I don't do any of that. I just click and buy. Really? That's a thing? Evidently. And
is Carvana the used car?
Carvana? I don't think it's used, is it? I buy cars every week, so I can tell you.
Yeah, somebody at 1 Million Cups presented when we were at the bank of used cars. That blew my mind.
That thing is still under development.
Okay.
But I think they don't bother saying, do you like dealing with slimy salespeople on a car? You know, they do any of that. It's just, do you like clicking?
I feel like that alone, I'd be like, no, I don't.
So I think their whole scheme is, the whole advertising is, look how crazy simple this is.
Right. That's fair. That's totally fair. Go ahead.
If your manufacturer's based in Eau Claire, are they somehow tied in Menards?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
No. I didn't know that was possible.
You know, it's funny you asked that because I grew up in Eau Claire.
I did too.
Yeah, I didn't know that this window manufacturer existed, and my mom has a house that has this windows in it. I was like, hey, that's Parco.
So they've been around for a while?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Parco, P-A-R-C-O.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Second owner, he just bought out the guy who retired.
Yeah, it's not a huge plate.
Yeah, I grew up on the north side, so I've never heard of it.
It is on the north side.
Really?
Yeah, right off near Melby. Yeah. We got an 8-minute video that's all them manufacturers.
But they don't have anything to do with Menard. My real question is, if they do, how would you compete against that? But obviously, you don't have to worry about it.
As far as I know,
you can't buy
from my perspective, or from my limited knowledge, they do not. And the reason that I could guess is that one, Menards would probably beat them up on price too much, and two, these are they're a better window than what Menards. Like Menards has their own gel blend or whatever that is. These things use a thicker vinyl.
Maybe there's mixed wixes on that already.
Yeah, I get the impression, and this isn't a huge company, so from a volume point of view, I don't know if they could support Menards.
Well, that could be another side if this thing takes off, are they going to be able to supply it?
Yeah. So there's tons of window manufacturers all over the country that are just little ones like this. But I had no idea until started thinking
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. Menards is both swearing and a positive thing in Eau Claire.
I'm familiar with the stories of John Menard, yes.
Yeah, so it's weird. I wonder, but it's a good question.
So with the flower thing, you had a very intentional, gradual, test-oriented rollout plan.
Yeah.
I assume that we're approaching this similarly. Like, what is the gradual rollout plan? Is it regional? Like, are you going to use?
Yeah. So Midwest first, because we have manufacturer, and we can, if we really need to make a drive, you can make a drive, right? And then Florida, or that area that's hurricane, that's a different. There's different types of windows, right? They have to hold up to wind and all that kind of stuff. So we know this area, we manufacture in this area, and if we really have to pull the parachute and find people that we overpay to install the windows, you can work it out. Right? So you can kind of prove the model in this area. Once that's proved, then we can prove that it's successful, I guess.
Because presumably one of the big proof points here, unlike flowers, where like we know people will buy flowers online, here there is a question. Will somebody spend 10 grand on windows for an installer they haven't met? You know,
right?
So it's interesting because a lot of the installer or a lot of the companies use subs to install.
Right.
Like when we had windows installed, the guys that came spoke Russian and either did not speak English or didn't know what hello meant or didn't feel like reacting when I said hello. Like it was just this, it was a creepy van, it was everything bad. But they installed windows, right? And you're gonna say, hey, you don't get to install windows in my house. It wasn't good.
I wonder, the people that really know the people that you're looking for are the home advisor and the innkeeper.
Yes.
Right? So I wonder if there's a way that you could talk to those folks and tap into their system somehow for some kind of cut. And I don't know how they operate well enough.
Yeah.
But they know the people you're looking for.
Yep.
And they've already vetted them. They're already rated. You can get 3, however they do it, right?
As long as they pay their vet.
Well, it's however, because basically what you're trying to do is establish trust. So,
correct.
And maybe for better or for worse, people trust those sources.
Right. Fair, totally fair.
When they're looking for someone, they trust the ratings, they trust the comments, and I just wonder if there's a way to tap into that system.
Yeah, we could.
Partnership arrangements. Yeah. We've got the goods, we're looking for the people you know to deliver the service. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we do now. So if someone called today and wanted windows somewhere, first thing I do is get a home advisor in that area. Yeah, right. And call up a couple of people. But I've got to not do that because that's not really scalable. I could be sitting there all day on the phone someday.
But if you have an online, there are 10 people in this room that could address this with much more expertise than I could.
Sure.
But, but it's all web-based, right? You go to Home Advisor, you put in your zip code, what you want, that kind of stuff. You get the same web developer you're going to hire to get the data from this place, and
it could be automated.
You could automate that system. You could also find a way to tap the Home Advisor.
Where we this job, do you want it? Yes or no?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody could do that.
Smarter than me. Some smart. Yes, but I understand. Yep.
I'll just stick to the slimy sales.
Sure. Sometimes people need a slimy
Yeah, stick with what works.
I tell people in my business planning class, you don't have to hate sales because sometimes people need to nudge you to do the right thing. And if they have to be slimy to do it, in the end,
well, my story is I had a kind of huge, big window in our house that long story short, I just decided I'm going to replace it. And Pella just, showed up with the thing. And I'm like, I know Pella, I trust Pella. I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
I want to get this thing in. I'm on a deadline. Call the guy, and I going into it, it's like, I know I'm overpaying for this.
Sure.
I spent a little bit of time for this.
Sure.
I'm paying a whole lot more than I would if I was being dollar conscious about this thing.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? Let's just grease the skids and get this done, and make hay while the sun shines, which is exactly what I did.
Sure.
In that situation, now I'm not going to go through my whole house and do that.
Right.
But in that particular time, at that time, I knew that I'd probably spend more on that one window than I would for the rest of it had I been dollar conscious.
And you paid more because it was a Pella, or paid more because you had the finance?
You can tell me why I paid more. I think as I'm writing the check.
Well, do you know that you paid more?
Writing the check going, nah, I don't think so.
For service.
It was a $20,000 window?
Close.
Okay.
But
this seems like an extra zero.
Someone's eating well on this.
Yes.
So,
where's this
Theo, what you're saying?
What do you guys think about a cause? You have to go in internet marketing and say, if you can give right on there 10% to Habitat for Humanity, it goes right to, is that worth it?
Seems like a weird fit for something this big.
It's windows and houses.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of millennials these days want to give back. So if your company is giving back, they love it.
And that's what I want. You're not going to get 10% of the cancer. I mean, what's that?
No.
Windows, right? But 10%. I just didn't know if that would be worth it, and also does that help you tap in and have that humanity to help you out a little bit, maybe give you the email list or whatever.
Do you use recycled material?
This will be our last question.
Don't press
Putting that out there.
When you say that after the question's been asked, it sounds like it's paused.
If he got started, I didn't want to interrupt.
Recycling's a magic word for today.
Here's the conundrum that the manufacturers have.
Two more.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There's virgin vinyl and there's recycled vinyl. Virgin vinyl is actually better, stronger. Recycled vinyl is arguably better for the environment, but not as strong. Is that correct?
Right, absolutely.
So,
this is regrind, which is recycled.
Okay.
There you go.
So you can put that.
So you're using recycled.
So we're green.
Right. Then you can put it out about how it lowers your carbon footprint because now your house is more efficient than right. So that's something we should probably hit a little bit stronger too, which is why new windows.
They're going to be your app users.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't a decent last question.
Yeah, it just made me feel bad, so we'll do one more. Anybody?
Now everybody's afraid.
Never been afraid. Okay. All right. Well, now that I've scared you, let's hear it for James.